and welcome to the Shakespearean Shrew. I am your Shakespearean Shrew, Karen Feiner, lover of all things Bard. Today is OU Takes Over the Shrew. So, we are giving the show away today, and we are going to be talking to David Weber about complete works.
What? Where?
So, I will let them introduce themselves, and I will get out of the shot.
Boom! Exit. Stage left. Hi, I'm David Weber. I'm an assistant professor of performance at Oklahoma State University, and I'm directing complete works of William Shakespeare, abridged, revised, again.
I'm Frederick Turner. I am a student at the University of Oklahoma, and I have the honor of introducing you guys to none other than
David Weber.
I have to say it again because it's better. It's just as nice.
There you go. That's right.
Okay. So, first of all, it's so nice being able to sit down with you today to talk about your position as the director of the complete works of Shakespeare, Abridged. Tell us a bit about your background in theater and your previous directing experiences.
Sure. I started acting and stopped that pancake when I was in kindergarten. He's going to tell the whole story. And then I have my MFA from California at the Cal State Long Beach. And then I have my undergraduate BFA in acting from the University of Illinois at Chicago. And so I've been doing this for a good 30 years or so. And I started directing as a teaching artist with secondary school kids, elementary school kids at summer camps. And so that has progressed to then doing full-on productions and then collegiate productions and professional productions.
Would you say Shakespeare would be one of your favorites, or do you have any favorite works?
Yeah, I would say Shakespeare is one of my favorites. Absolutely.
What about it?
It's the storytelling. It's the 5-act structure. It's the arc of all the plays, whether people think they're good or bad. I think that they're an actor's gift. And so it's a great training tool. It's great for experience. It gives everything because the plays are like little musicals, or they're little vaudeville shows, or they're unbelievable gothic suspenseful dramas. So he's got all of the whole range in his canon. That sounded really sexual. He's got the full range in his canon.
It just makes it better.
It just makes it all better.
Well, speaking of genres, would you say you have a particular favorite genre, like romance, violence?
Well, comedy would be one of them, and it's because it's so challenging and so hard, but it's so immediate. When people laugh, it's very rewarding, and then structuring the laugh, setting it up, and being able to knock it down is very rewarding. But it's not to say that I don't enjoy other genres, drama.
Drama part
horror.
2.
Drama part 2.
Yeah. What drew you to direct the complete works of Shakespeare?
I auditioned for it with the Atlanta Shakespeare Company in 19-bada-ba-boom.
Let them know.
2009, and I was almost in it, but they went with the senior company members, and I was still a junior company member, so I was like, I saw the show and I fell in love with it. And it was directed by one of my friends, Maurice Ralston, who I'd worked with. He directed me as Orlando and As You Like It. And so a lot of my peers were in the show, and they were really well received, and the show was a hit. So that was my first time. And now they bring it back. They do it pretty much every year or every other year at the Atlanta Shakespeare Company. So I'd seen multiple casts do it, and was always a fan of it. And even though I do a lot of clown work and I do a lot of comedy, there's something about this play and this trio. Maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit, but I think I'm better served for this as a director than as a performer. I feel like I can help serve the text that the three guys wrote as being on the outside of it. And so I've wanted to direct it for a while, had the opportunity to direct it here, and so I took kind of a a little training wheel. Real. Rip. I did my first attempt at directing at Stage Door Manor up in Loch Sheldrake, New York, this past summer. And they gave me a cast of like 15 high school students, which I thought, I wanted to work with 3 so I could practice this. But what they did was presented a great challenge to figure out how I can rotate the different ensembles in a way that has served this production very well. Because I was able to test out things, try things out, workshop them with an audience, which has taken away a lot of the uncertainty of, will this work with my idea? And I believe it has. So I'm really excited to see this community embrace the text with some surprising little touches to it that I feel will blow the roof off the joint. Especially the Othello rap. And there's a Othello rap, and then our encore for the show, which the playwrights have given us 2, but I was like, why just stop at 2? Let's do something that no one has ever seen before. And so we have that tied to this production. That if you come, and you will come because we want to sell out on opening night, which is April 17th on Thursday, which is next week. So please go to oklahomashakespeare.org. Right, Riley?
Yeah.
And get those tickets.
What are your thoughts on putting like a comedic touch to the original works of Shakespeare?
I'm not putting my touch on it. It's very funny by his own right. In terms of the design of the play, I think that the shows themselves have the polarity of comedy and drama to them. And so Romeo and Juliet is a comedy in its first 2.5, 3 acts, and then it becomes a tragedy at the end. Most of his dramas, like Hamlet, is super funny, and then it has a very dramatic, tragic ending, right? And so he plays with that all the time. And the play that is the complete works is a total vaudevillian laugh fest. And so I'm just trying to serve those jokes as a director.
Were there any surprises in how the script was constructed that challenged your initial understanding or approach to directing it?
I was distracted. I love your Valentine's Day.
Oh, thanks. Got it from a friend.
It's really nice. Good friend. I admire the craft that the 3 of them have tirelessly been able to accomplish with this vehicle, because it started as an idea and it is very stemmed from improv-based theater, or improvised Shakespeare has kind of come from this whole idea of just liberating the idea of the gallery of Shakespeare, the museum trope of Shakespeare that can only be done by the refined, and they accomplish that very well, and it's so successful, and the 3 of them are so now super successful at doing that with multiple playwrights, and this show is a staple in many professional companies and many universities and high schools, so they really knocked it out of the park with this one. And so I admire that, because it started with just the idea. And they were like, wouldn't it be cool if we... And then they attempted that idea, they workshopped that idea, and then they produced that idea, and then it has garnered a following. And so I'm a huge fan of that artistry.
Sorry, give me a second.
Fred's like, you gave me the answer 30 seconds ago. Please shut up, so I don't have to edit you out.
So this show requires a great deal of flexibility from the cast.
Yes.
How would you help your actors to transition quickly between these different roles and Shakespeare's wide range of characters?
For that question, I'll say that I worked really hard at creating a structure for them so that coming into rehearsal, I was able to give them their ins and outs, what we call their traffic. It's like, you're going to come in through here, you're going to go around to here, You're gonna come in from here. Like, so their blocking was set up in a way that they were able to write that down and not have to worry about that. So their traffic was something that I was really conscious about giving to them, knowing that that would help them learn their lines. I know it sounds kind of basic, but with a show like this, you might think, oh, we're just going to devise this. We're going to find the funny here. But as a director, knowing our time constraints, I'm like, let me give you this template. Let's work within this template. It's what I call the game of this play. And then when we went into Act 2, I noticed pretty quickly they were playing the game so well that they were able to kind of come and go where they wanted to, and I kind of moved them here and there. So what Holly McNatt called the blocking lazy blocking on my behalf, Chris Cuss said, no, it's collaborative blocking. So I love Chris Cuss. So that was able to help us accomplish that goal very quickly in Act 2. So we got Act 1, we got Act 2, we have my concept of my encore at the end, and then I was able to bring in a choreographer. So the choreographer was able to give us and the actors some framing to these things like the Othello rap and some different, what I call buttons, some comedic buttons that we just created a vocabulary of dances and ensemble trios. And then we were able to go, hey, which one can we use? Oh, let's use that one. Let's use that one. Oh, we need a dance number here. How about this one? And we plugged those in pretty quickly in our first week too. So we had the composition of this show within the first week. And then the second week, we've been able to investigate the Lotsie or the comedy of it. And now we're just putting it all kind of together with the lights and sound. So that has been something that I've been very conscious about. So if you're going to direct this play, I really highly suggest that you have the ins and outs of it, so the 3 or the 16 actors will know where they're going, and they won't have to worry about it.
Speaking of these actors, how do you see the role of costumes, props, and set design in a production like the complete works of Shakespeare?
Huge, and sound. So sound, costume, and props, all 3 of those things have been huge collaborations. They've been so the collaborative process of the artist, 3 of the 3 of those departments has been enormous and very appreciated. So I knew that going in, and that's part of why I wanted to test it out in Loch Sheldrick up at Stage Door, just to see how extensive it is, and it's pretty extensive. And so I have Trey Blevins, who's doing my props. It's great. We also have a little bit of a team here with Henri, our production manager, outreach. He's the company manager. Just edit that out. I think I just butchered his title. But we have Henri, who's been helping us with some props, and I've been able to help out with some props too. But Trey's been doing some of the big ones that I've needed to accomplish early on in rehearsals. And then we have Jason Estala, who's the costume professor at Oklahoma State University, who I've worked with a few times. He's here being able to figure out how we can effectively play the game of their costume changes that helps the actors and challenges them, but it doesn't hinder them. And then with sound, I've been able to work with a student that I just did small mouse sounds at Oklahoma State University. And I was able to give him all the tracks that I started to accumulate up in New York for comedic purposes, and then be able to add to that as we've been going into the production. So the idea of like, oh yeah, I could just pull these clips from YouTube to now there's actually a little bit more to it than that has been made easier by Des Holloway.
Okay.
Is that good? I'm
yeah,
glad. I'm glad you messed up because I've done it like 5 times.
Okay. How would you handle the challenge of making sure each actor has a chance to shine, given the rapid shifts in roles and limited stage time for each character?
That was a great opportunity up in New York when there was 16. So to make sure that one person wasn't just the Hamlet of the show, but this is the great asset of their writing. Like the three of them exchange so many different personas and so many different roles that the three characters are shining all throughout the production. So it's hard. Like you could go, which of the three would you like to play? All three of them are great. It just depends on what kind of energy you're going to bring to it. Because we have kind of the heart and the mind and the gut, all three centers represented in this show, that you could just flip-flop a little bit, as long as you have the three.
So this is kind of off script for me, but geez. So the word abridged, what would you say, like, how would you define the word abridged? That's one way to do it, I guess. Jump scare.
So take the full and then condense it. So just shorten it up.
Interesting.
So we're not doing all of his plays. We're doing all of his plays abridged.
Okay. I'll put that in a dictionary somewhere. What does preparing for multiple roles in one play look like?
For the actor or for the director?
Both.
For both, it's just a little bit of research, just a little understanding, a little bit of basic, the score of the character, the highs and lows, the polarity or the turn, like where they start, where they end.
For the actors?
For the actors, same.
Oh.
Same. So trying to figure out what does my character want, what is the objective, and then what's the obstacle, and to just make sure that the character is being pulled to their hopes and dreams always, in every play, and then trying to figure out what the events of the play are. There's in a 2-act play, there's usually 3. There's probably a little event in each scene maybe, but most plays have just 3 big events. At the beginning, the initial event, the climax, and then the main event at the end. And that changes everybody's lives involved in the show. And so trying to figure out what those are as a director is something that I also do as an actor. To go, do I make this event happen in this play? Or am I an accomplice to making this event happen? Or am I affected by this event that happens? I want to know that. And I think that most actors do as well in terms of their preparation of the show.
How do you plan to engage with the audience during this production?
I think we have a sticker that says that it's a very interactive show. So if you want extra attention, please wear this, or some sort of idea that we have. It's very interactive, but we want people also to enjoy it. So thinking about this as a party atmosphere is a great way in, or thinking about it as an improv show is a great way in.
So is there like a splash zone? Like people need to know like where to be.
Like a barf zone and a blood zone and a water zone. Those are the 3 that we have that get sprayed throughout.
How do you guys manage to get this stuff?
Props, Trey. Think about like the stringy, silly string, but it's our version of that.
Okay. Is there like a sort of like craftsmanship that people have to like? I mean, a certain certification for these like I don't even know how to word it. When it comes to doing like special effects, are there people that are like certified for doing these, or is it just random people just throwing stuff at you?
It's the actors, and they're professionals, and they're not wielding any kind of pyrotechnics or anything like that, so no one's going to get hurt. Yeah,
Flamethrower.
Flamethrower, no. Ninjas throwing stars, no. So they're in good hands. Nothing's going to harm anybody.
Okay. Do you have any pre-show rituals before performing?
I pray. So I ask the theater gods to bless the cast and the crew and the production.
Don't let this light turn out on me right now.
Yeah, safety. safety, no one dies, no one gets hurt, and that the show is well received, and that everybody fulfills their potential in the show. That's kind of that's the goal every time I act or direct, is that there's a fulfillment of potential.
Is there a specific audience that you want to reach?
Yeah, people who are looking for something to do that aren't typically theater goers, that have heard of Oklahoma Shakespeare, but they do something else. I want to bring them to our home and get them. I want them. This is a great this is a great first theatrical experience. This is a great show to see some live entertainment if they're not used to seeing Shakespeare. This show can bring them in the doors to go, that was fun. I want to see more of that.
Boy, do I have a crowd for you.
Good.
Yeah.
Tell them to come.
Absolutely.
We want them to come. And for students, we have the Never Younger code. So if under a certain age range, they can use that code and they can get free tickets. There's, I think, 6 available every single night of the production. So take advantage of that. If the students are looking at the ticket prices and judging their ability to come into the door just based on that, then that's a misnomer. There's so many different ways that they can see a show. They can volunteer, they can usher, they can use that code, they can wait around for, sometimes there's notices of rush tickets or half price tickets, so.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. Free stuff.
Free stuff.
Please.
Yeah, come.
How would you describe the show to someone who's never seen it before?
Very fast, very funny, very inventive, very imaginative, very witty. I'll laugh a minute. Seriously.
Do you personally relate to any of the characters?
Yeah, I relate to all 3 of the playwrights and performers. I relate to I relate to what they have done with this work in terms of how they've been able to find the funny in something that is available for satire or to mock a little bit or to poke fun at something, and also to respect it, to revere it, to admire it. They're obviously fans. They're obviously admirers of Shakespeare, and so I relate to what they've done with the 3 characters, which are the performers. So the 3 characters in the show are 3 actors hired to do it, and then they play the tracks of all the roles that the playwrights have kind of discovered for themselves.
So you spoke of finding the funny. Mm-hmm. Is that really a hard task? Is there any strategies that you use to try to get a laugh out of people?
Yeah, finding a way to incorporate any kind of technique, whether you're building kind of a comedic ladder in terms of just increasing the energy output from 1 to 10 and then going back down to 1, or using the 3-second rule where you just wait 3 seconds and then go to create the opportunity for laughs to fill that. That's some basic training. So I'm just always constantly looking for where is the joke? How's it served? And with a play like this, they've already ironed everything out. It's been peer reviewed. It's a successful play. So our job is just not to muck it up, and then to also make it special, to add our, not to just sit back and just let the words take care of itself, is to show our inventiveness and our imagination, and to enhance it and to fulfill it as a piece is what our task is, or any task, any performer's task with this particular piece. They want to put their stamp on it.
Copyright.
Right? Tragedy. Comedy.
What's your favorite moment in the show and why?
My favorite moment in the show is probably our Othello rap and also our final encore. Because it's something that I want to see and it's something that I feel is a challenge, but the payoff is huge.
Okay. So, do you have any final ideas or concepts you would like to implement in the production that would help make this version uniquely yours?
I think, well, if I were to, what you all will see will be something that is created with all three actors and then my help fulfilling that vision. If we were to do it, if I was to do it again, what would I like to do? I don't know. I'd like to keep playing with the space. Like in this production, I have them in a museum-like setting that they can then just clutter up, and this kind of take the proverbial piss out of the place. You know, they can upset the surrounding of it. And if I were to do it again, I would still play with that kind of idea of where am I going to set this so that we can muck it up. So like a punk rock version of it with spray paint could be cool, or any way that we are upsetting the environment with this show is kind of what I would do again. So I would be fulfilled directing this again in a heartbeat.
This is going to be my last question, actually. What is the greatest takeaway that you've had from your role directing this production?
Oh, how much just casting is so important in a process. I really have lucked out with these three. These three performers are amazing, and they've been so great working together and with me that it really is an embarrassment of riches.
Okay, can't let it go. I have to jump in.
Oh.
I'm nosy. Okay, so you mentioned.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. So you mentioned the amuckness
Yeah.
of this show, and we've talked about Shakespeare being on a pedestal for far too long, and how people tend to be afraid to play with Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So is that part of what makes this, one, a comedy, and part of what makes this such a funny show? Is it, one, it upsets the expectations that we have of what Shakespeare, quote unquote, should be?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the three, Adam, Jess, and Daniel, I think what they have done is possibly as fans just want Shakespeare's really funny. Super funny. So this idea that it's supposed to be revered and only accessible to the elite is something that they have done very well. It's just kind of like destroying that kind of motif.
So does this kind of take us back? Because a lot of people think like, oh no, this is bastardizing Shakespeare. But to me, it almost seems like we're taking it back. This is OG Shakespeare. We're playing on this stage. We've got multiple playwrights. We've got multiple voices. It's metatextual. It's improving. It's audience interaction.
I think so. I really do. I really feel like the performers playing in Romeo and Juliet this way has to have embraced the spirit of the time. I don't think it was. I think what's new is our concepts on Shakespeare. What's new is this idea that we're going to adhere to a certain tone and then do it that way. I think Shakespeare was much bawdier and free and surprising in its time. So I think this is of that same spirit of the globe.
Yeah, so come see the OG Shakespeare,
Come
the
see
chaos.
the Shakespeare OG, the chaos. I'm not saying anything new or inventive. I'm just repeating what Karen's saying.
I mean, because why mess with greatness?
Because why mess with greatness?
All right, Fred, you did a wonderful job.
Fred,
With great
that was
questions.
incredible.
Thank you.
You are always a favorite. So much fun. Thank you so much. And everybody else, please come see the show. It's going to be so much fun. And just remember, all the world's a stage, and you too can be a shrew.